Hi, I'm Mike Pollock. You might know me as Dr. Eggman from Sonic the Hedgehog. You might know me as the mayor from Kirby Right Back at Ya. You might know me as the interim narrator from Pokemon. Or maybe you know me as Greg from Ratatoing. But however you know me, you need to know you're watching In Conversation with Amber the Fangirl. ATF!
Hi guys, Amber here. Welcome back to In Conversation with ATF. Now this one is a part 2 of a previous episode. My guest, you may know by now, is the current voice of Dr. Eggman in the Sonic franchise, and he has also voiced Maya Fink in Sonic Boom as well as Dr. Eggman. He's also voiced Langston Lickertoad in Viva Pinata. That's the 4-kids dub of that show. Greg in Ratatoing. He's a narrator in Pokemon. Mayalyn Blustergas in Kirby Right Back at You, and many, many, many more. Please welcome back Mike Pollock.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I have to go hurry up and watch part 1. Hang on. I'm kidding. Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're actually the first person I've asked to do a part 2. I mean, I've kind of done a part 2 where I've recorded on a different day. I did that with Lex Lang. I'm not sure. Do you know who Lex Lang is? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded like a week apart and I just ended up compiling it in a different video. But I've never, in the same video, I've never done like one where it's like a part 2 in the distant future. So this is a first. This is a first.
Sequels are very popular, so let's hope this follows suit.
This is the well-awaited sequel everyone's been asking for. I tell you that now.
Well, thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Definitely. I'm super grateful. Now, for those of you at home who don't know, I'm going through a Sonic phase. I've been playing all the games. I've been researching all the voice actors. And yeah, Dr. Eggman is my favorite. I'm always partial to the villains in every single franchise with everything I get into. So why not interview Mike again? Because
Sure.
He's like the definitive voice for Dr. Eggman. So, Mike, I know this is going to make you sound a little bit old, but your 20th anniversary of voicing Eggman is next year.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about going for so long without even being replaced?
It's a great honor. One of the joys of doing what I do is getting asked back to do something again, and that happens not nearly as often as I'd like it to. But in this case, they keep coming back for more. So who am I to say no? So it's a tremendous honor.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when the rest of the 4-kids cast got recast around 2010, was it? Yeah, when Jason Griffith was replaced with Roger Craig Smith, you survived that casting. I mean, you kind of did, but kind of didn't. I believe you were asked to audition again, and then you ended up getting the role. So
I auditioned, which was a heck of a surprise. I booked it again, which is even more of a surprise.
Yay.
So it's great to be back.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, like I used to play Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the Winter Olympic Games, all those games on the Wii. May I ask, is it a different recording process for between the video games and the TV show Sonic Boom or Sonic X?
Yes and no, it depends. For dubs tend to be recorded separately. Sonic X was a dub, so we were all booked at different times in the same place, much like a doctor's office schedule. Oh, you're in at 2, you're in at 3, you're in at 4, and we just all stream past each other. Hi, gotta go. Games tend to be similar in that they're recorded separately. Sonic Boom was the exception to the rule, at least for most of the stuff I do. It was done ensemble style. Although it was a hybrid ensemble record, because I stayed in New York while the rest of the gang was in LA. They would fly me out occasionally, but I was in New York, and there was no reason for me to be there just to do the audio recording, especially in the days of the internet where we're crossing thousands of miles. I'm still sitting here, you're still sitting there. So we would all record at the same time. I would be listening to everyone on headphones, and they would be listening to me on headphones, and we would do our thing, and they would ship the voices off and make the magic happen and build a cartoon around that somehow.
That's brilliant, honestly. Like, I know obviously you're recording long distance, but when you watch the show, it just feels like you all recorded together. It's like the chemistry of how it's built and all that. Like with the technology nowadays, like Zoom and stuff like that, because I believe what was the thing that they used to use in the old days? Like I can't remember what it's called, but they would communicate to people working in a different state or a different country through like a little screen thing. I can't remember what it's called. What was it called? Do you remember?
Yeah, video calling has kind of been a thing, but even just audio, because we could do most of the stuff we do. I'm not seeing anyone. If we're working remotely, I'm just hearing, because who cares? They know what I look like. They don't need to see me now. So yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're doing Zoom, the video tends to be off because we're watching video on the screen of whatever we're dubbing. And yeah, but the technology has enabled things to do magical remote stuff ever since the telephone was invented. So thanks, Alexander Graham Bell and friends, and
Yay!
Antonio Meucci. Look him up.
We thank those guys up. If it wasn't for them, like, I don't think I'd be talking to you right now.
Everything is based on electronic communication in one way or another.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So I got a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I wouldn't say a few. But I'd say a handful of questions. Some fun ones actually. I'd like to know. Have you? Well, I think you've already answered it already. Have you been to Los Angeles?
Several times. As a kid, a couple times for fun, and as an adult, couple times. Well, more than a couple times. A large handful of times for work. Usually for no more than a weekend at a time, or a couple days in the middle of a week.
I see. Well, that's really cool. I'm jealous. Like, I've always wanted to go to Los Angeles, but like the flights
Plan a thing.
so expensive. They're like
Yeah, well,
£600 each way.
everything is expensive now. You know what, with all the stuff going on. But yeah, when things return to normality and more reasonable, then by all means, get there if you can.
Yeah. With the 4Kids cast, did you ever record together for Sonic X or any of the video games? Because everyone was based in New York.
Yeah, no, we would record separately. I've worked on a couple of things with parts of the cast individually for other projects. Dan Green directed me for a motion comic for Marvel's Astonishing X-Men franchise. I worked with Jason Griffith on a couple of cartoon productions where we were recording all together in a weird way. But no, most of the time we would record separately, and I wouldn't meet people for months into the production. That's you? Oh, hi. Sure.
I had a bit of
That's
mic trouble
better.
then. Sorry.
Not a
So
problem.
that reminds me, with the whole passing and stuff. I spoke to Susan Blue in the past, very famous voice director. She was on the original Transformers film from 1986, and they recorded separately with that, unlike recording as an ensemble for the TV show. So when they did because obviously the movie had a lot of Hollywood stars, so obviously they recorded different times. When she was coming out of the booth, Orson Welles was walking in, and she was starstruck. I was like, "Oh, what are the chances? What are the chances of that?" And I was like, "Wow!" I was astounded. So I'd like to ask you: has there ever been any experience where you've walked out of a booth and like a famous person or a really good voice actor has come in, or vice versa?
Couple of times I was walking out of a studio and Alec Baldwin was walking in to do something. Like,
Ooh.
oh, great. It's New York. New York is actually chock full of celebrities. This was obviously, he was there for the same reason I was, not on the same project, but oh, I did a voiceover. He's doing a voiceover. Cool. And at one point, it was at the studio where Susan Sarandon was dubbing a film there or doing some project. I just peeked in the window. Oh, don't look at me. Hi, don't mind me. And other than that, I've passed celebrities in New York. Jerry Orbach at the time and Rue McClanahan. They were walking from one place to another. I said, oh, look, celebrity, great. But yeah, that's cool. None of them recognized me. Yeah, fine.
They'll know your voice when they hear
Yeah,
you in the next
one
Sonic
would hope.
video game.
One would hope.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. I mean, I'm astounded. Like, the amount of good credits you have is just amazing. I mean, I've had a good look at your website, and I've obviously read the article that you've wrote about Ratatouille and like the amount of criticism people give you for it. And yes, I know it's people would say it's badly animated, but it was a fun film that you did. So why do you think it lives? Do you think it lives? Well, obviously it kind of does live up to the standards of today, but I'd say like what part of it holds a special place in your heart about that film?
The voice work, obviously, because that's the part I did. I had nothing to do with the animation, the story, or anything. But I got to sit in a room for 2 hours and play. I got to create 4 different characters. I'm not only Greg, I am the confused rat in one of the dining sequences. I'm the narrator for the opening scene, and I'm some off-screen adult human at the end of the film. So I just got to hello, I got to work on my grammar. I got to sit in a room and get directed by a reasonably talented director. And he said, here, do this, do this, do this. No, do this. Okay, great, I did that. Fun, great, happy, great, thanks, bye. It's fun.
Yeah,
It beats working.
I bet it is. I bet it
Mhm.
is. I think the term when we were talking about video calling before in the 90s, I think it was like a telecom, I believe. I might be wrong. I will look it up after this interview and I will tweet you, be like, oh yeah, the term I was on about is such and such. So yeah. Well, I know in while I'm editing this, I'll probably just stick the word on the screen or something.
Fair.
So yeah, there is that. When you've been to LA, have you met any like really big voice actors like Frank Welker or Corey Burton or anyone along those lines?
No, all the times I was there, I was, pardon me,
It's
just
okay.
me and the Sonic cast. I'll drink to that. Hang on, drinking. One of the big rules of voiceover: stay hydrated.
Honestly, I don't blame you because I was going to quickly say I had an audition. I think it was yesterday, and I had to sing for it, and I was about to get just took it to a chocolate bar. My friends were like, don't eat that. Chocolate apparently just ruins your vocal cords. It just covers them. I'm like, okay, I'll just put that on one side then. So I just waited till the audition.
The afterwork treat. There was the Sonic cast all the times I was there to record.
Mm-hmm.
One of the previous visits when I was for some conference or other that I don't recall, but June Foray was a guest of honor, but it was at an extra priced event that I didn't shell out for, or was not being expensed by the company. So could have met June Foray closer than I did, but beyond that, no, just the Sonic cast. That was a great honor to meet the rest of them in person.
Oh, well, I mean, you did meet June in the 80s, I believe.
Just by phone. So I'll
was it just over the phone? I thought it was in person.
No, it was I made some calls to agents and got her home phone number, which, boy, I hope that wouldn't happen today. But it happened then in the 80s. Sure, here's her number. What? Okay. Called her up. There she was. She was so nice.
Yeah.
Probably nicer than I'd be if somebody called me.
Oh.
And lovely cat.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, because I've heard a lot of stories about voice actors. They say, "Oh yeah, I found Dawes Butler's number in a phone book, and I phoned him and stuff like that." And June Foray's and stuff like that. I mean, they would have been yellow pages nowadays, would they? No, I won't tell you that. Which comes to my next question. I'd like to ask, if you don't mind me asking, with your fan engagement rules, what kind of inspired you to create them? May I ask?
Every rule tells a story. In those cases, people who don't get boundaries because you're accessible, they take advantage. Oh, you're online and it's 3 a.m. where I am, or it's 3 a.m. where you are, but not where I am. Hi, calling you. No, you're not. Don't call. I have to explain that it's like barging into somebody's house. If they're sitting out on the porch in public view, walk up and chat. But if you're a stranger and they're inside their home and the door's locked, I hope, don't go banging on the door. Hi, I know who you are. Can I come in? No, you can't.
They just show at the door. Hi, Egghead.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you don't. It's not Eggman. It's Mike Pollock.
I have to explain on stage versus off stage. If I'm on the stage doing a show, come watch the show. Then the curtains close. This is me minding curtains. Thank you very much. The curtain closes and the show is over. And then I'm backstage. If I come out for a meet and greet, come say hi. I guess you can stand around at the stage door when I'm heading out, but you can't come through the stage door when I'm in the dressing room. That's the private space. And folks don't seem to understand, in many cases, the difference between public and private.
Yeah, and you got to protect you and your family's privacy as well. So there is that. Speaking of family-wise, I've got to ask, you have two children, haven't you?
I do. Last I checked.
What are the names, may I ask?
We have young Reese and young Bronwyn.
Reese and Bronwyn, lovely names. May I ask, have they heard any of your work in video games or on the TV? Have they ever watched Sonic Boom and said, "Oh yeah, that's Dad," or have they ever played a Sonic game and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's Dad," or anything like that?
When they were younger, they're in their teens now. But when they were younger, and I could force them to sit and watch TV with the whole family, they would sit and watch Sonic Boom when it was on, and Sonic X when it was on. At least one of them was just reaching the age where he could care about what TV was. But these days, they've got their own phones and they're buried in their own stuff. They will occasionally watch stuff I'm in, sometimes intentionally, sometimes because it's something I like. My son is a bit of an anime fan, so he'll find me in anime stuff. But
good taste. Good taste,
yeah, but
indeed.
I'm not going to say they go searching for stuff I'm in on purpose without me prodding. Fine.
Yeah. A lot of celebrities kids do that. I think if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but it was something about Grady Lyle's children. Apparently they won't watch a Scooby-Doo with her doing the voice of Daphne in it because apparently they don't like her Daphne voice or something along those lines, or they just I don't know.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, indeed. I'd be grateful if my parents were voice actors, definitely. Which actually leads me on to my next question. Do they ever, or did they ever ask you to do any voices that you did? Maybe when they were little kids, or maybe now, or whatever.
Not usually. It's more the case of if I happen to be in a playful mood and will be doing some voices for them, or if I'm in a potentially particularly annoyed mood, I might start yelling as Eggman, mostly because me yelling is me yelling. So it kind of softens the blow if you think, well, I'm being yelled at by Dr. Eggman, as opposed to, oh, wait, Dad's angry and he's yelling because he yells. But those are not the times to focus on. But not usually, but they'll dabble in voices as I dabble in voices, and we will amuse each other as the situation warrants.
Lovely, that is. I just can't think of the whole situation now where you're just shouting and then you just transform into Eggman and you just can't take it seriously. You're like, I can't help but laugh.
Like I say, me yelling is me yelling. So
yeah, two completely different attitudes. There's cartoon you and the real you. Of course, the real family man you. And then there's just Dr. Eggman in a completely different universe running for a blue hedgehog.
Scripted. He's scripted, I'm not. That's pretty much the basic difference here.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some of your videos. I mean, I remember I commented on one of them. It was about the one where I don't know much about it, but Eggman making an announcement. It's a video where he's like, it's like a 2-minute speech and it's got swearing in it and stuff. And like, obviously, oh yeah, Mike Pollock voice actor. Why didn't we get him to say it? And then obviously it prompted you to make that video. And I gotta admit, there's massive bits of respect for you because voice actor Callan Goff brought up recently, well, I know of this AI software that sort of like, it's like a text-to-speech voice, but with different cartoon characters. Callan was like, he did not give his consent for his voices like Glamour Freddy or something like that from Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach to be added to it because it will then make him say, make like a person, oh yeah, this type of really rude word and get him to say it and stuff like that. It will make him say like rude things that he would not say as that character, and it would just show him, oh, that I would never say that ever if it's like a really offensive term. So there is that as well. So wow, I just admire you for going all out and stuff like that. But when it comes to like cameo and stuff, is it okay for you to say like custom stuff still, or is it still the same rule?
Mostly because the fan base can't be trusted, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but
no,
there are
most
enough.
Of them can't.
Yeah, there are enough people who will want to do nefarious things with audio clips that I don't want to provide extra ammunition. So I've avoided Cameo because I know that most of the people on Cameo will want to talk to Dr. Eggman or want to get content from Dr. Eggman, and I have to remind them that I don't own him. I'm hired to voice him. But the contract clearly states you don't own the character, we own the character. So I'm not about to try and get a license to give me permission to make the character say anything. And I don't know all the dialogue the character has ever said. So somebody could easily say, well, this was from a game that you won't remember. Can you say it? Younger me? Yes. Older me? No. There's a lot of maturity going on. I know when I was a kid, and I remember vaguely being a kid, that I would think nothing of calling up a June Foray or a Bill Scott and saying, "Can you say this in your character? I have a radio show that I'm on." And most of them were kind and gracious, but a couple of my radio idols at the time, one of them said, "Well, there are companies that have an exclusivity clause on my voice, so no, I can't do other stuff." Oh, that's interesting. Okay, thanks. And when I got older and I realized that I'm signing contracts for the voices of characters, the voice, while it's my voice, it's when performed as a character, it's the character. The character doesn't belong to me. There are contracts and clients and big money and rules and laws at stake. So I've got to be as cautious as I can be, and I've got to explain to people why I'm being cautious, and hope that people on the other end will understand, oh yeah, I guess you can't just say anything I wanted to. And I also try to explain, you're not the director, you don't own the character. The folks who own the character can get me to say stuff because it's their character, but I'm just the guy that they've hired to do stuff. The analogy I like to draw is, if you drop your car off for valet parking, you expect the valet to park your car. You don't expect the valet to suddenly take your car out on the motorway and start going on a joyride. That's not part of the deal. So I am hired and trusted to voice the character and take care of the character. I can't loan the character out to friends.
You're a good man, Mike.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
hope the world agrees.
Yeah, I hope so too. I just had a look at the video. I saw, turns out it was like a little video message you did for GalaxyCon. I thought it was a cameo or something, but I did see that you did a shout out. I didn't know it was for cameo, but it was for your GalaxyCon virtual event that you did with I think it was with the Sonic cast. I believe it was with Roger and Colleen, I think.
Roger Colleen.
Yeah, yeah. So wow, like, I have so much respect for you with the amount of, with that thing. I mean, may I ask you, even when you stop voicing Eggman, which hopefully won't be anytime soon.
Could be now. I don't know. They haven't called.
I don't know, but aren't you doing it in the new Sonic? Is there a new TV show coming out on a new game? I think
I'm in Sonic Frontiers. Anything else I can't say.
Oh yeah, Frontiers. Yeah, I think there's a new one called Sonic Prime. I think, and then wasn't there like Rise of the Wisps or something, or has that already come out?
I don't remember because I don't have any paperwork in front of me. That may have already come out.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, even after you've retired, you get what I'm saying. Would you still read? Would you be able to read custom stuff then, or would you still flat out refuse?
It's a great question. I would like to think that I would refuse because of the respecting one's former clients too. I would draw a parallel to characters that I'm not currently voicing that I voiced in the past, and then I would just be more inclined to give a sample generic voice. So let me pick what I say versus you pick what I say. Mostly because, being the audio editor that I've been since I worked in radio, you can chop up words and syllables to say all sorts of unpleasant, unwanted things. So I have no qualms with saying, I'm Dr. Eggman, because first of all, he's said that, I'm sure, on some medium where it's not going to help you to have me saying it now, because you could have gotten it from them. But yeah. I'm not going to sit and read the Gettysburg Address, because then Mr. Audio Editor guy goes, chop this up, slide this up. Hey, look, he's doing horrible things to interplanetary objects. Thank you. So it's not a request-based business. Yeah. I mean, I know it came from radio, which was sometimes a request. Can you play my favorite song? Sure. But it's a tricky legal and moral and ethical thing. You've got to think of whose character is it anyway? And what rights do I have? So I'm erring on the side of caution. I can't get in trouble for what I don't do.
That makes perfect sense, definitely. Because I've seen many voice actors read stuff in their respective voices. I mean, you've got they give shout outs obviously on like cameo and stuff in their characters' voices and stuff, and they say different things. I mean, when I've spoken to Frank Welk, he's always said custom stuff in his Megatron voice. So I wonder why either that they don't think it's disrespectful or it's kind of like a different contract. I'm not sure. I don't even know if any of the other Sonic cast members are allowed to read anything custom in there. for
We're
your
all
differences.
different. And I respect everyone's
Or if it's just
decisions
a
and
personal choice.
choices.
I don't know.
Yeah, I prefer to play it safe. I have had enough stuff taken out of context. The famous snooping as usual meme, for one, where I was asked to say that before realizing why everyone found it so funny, until somebody started bragging trophy style. I got Mike to say it. Not anymore. You lose. You ruined it for everyone now. Thank you. So
I know exactly what you're talking about. Even just saying the first word. I literally spoke about it in my college class today. Like, we were saying it, but obviously we're making reference to Long John Baldry saying it, obviously, because it's from the original Sonic cartoon. So, yeah. And then I was like to my friend, oh, yeah, did you know I've interviewed Mike Pollock? And he was like, what? So I showed him a little bit of your interview, our last one. He was like, oh, my God. I didn't tell him that I was talking to you tonight, so there's a little surprise for him in store, definitely.
But yeah, and enough folks have tricked or tried to trick me to say stuff for their own personal gain. But no, we're not playing anymore. Thank you.
Yeah,
I will take scripts from the people who hire me to take them, and I will read those things.
I have unfortunately seen a video of, I think it's at a Comic-Con with you and Kenny James, you know, the voice of Bowser. And I'm not sure if you're aware of the whole situation. I don't really want to explain because one, it's too long. 2, it's too long, and 3, it's really complicated. And for me to get into it would include me doing a 2-hour rant on it. There's a particular figure, like I'd say like a YouTuber, infamous celebrity, stands up. Not sure if you remember him, Christina Chan. Obviously, and the way you responded by like saying Shakespeare back, the crowd, like they just fell in love with you. The crowd did. Like, I have to say, you handled that situation so perfectly. I would have just been on the side, just going embarrassment, just like, end the panel. But you handled it like, wow. I have so much respect. It's like,
thank you. Part of it helps to be an actor because that was
sorry
acting.
to bring it up, but you know, just sorting out something in such a professional manner as that is just outstanding.
A culmination of many skills, a culmination of acting, a culmination of being on the radio and being able to speak extemporaneously, and always having the wheels turning in my head in one direction or another. So yeah, it was a bunch of things collided in a positive way, and I think we turned lemons into lemonade in that situation.
That's brilliant, Matt. That's definitely brilliant. I'd like to ask, you know, Mayor Fink in Sonic Boom. Apparently, he was based on an Ed Wynn impression that you did. What? I didn't know that.
Well, they had the mayor character, and they said, we'd like you to voice him. Do you have a voice in mind? And the thoughts in my head went directly to the old McDonald's advertisements from the 70s, which I don't know if they ran over anywhere where you'd see them, but the voice of Mayor McCheese, who, look him up sometime. There was a whole cast of food-inspired characters living in McDonald land. The voice of Mayor McCheese was basically an Ed Wood voice. So I thought a mayor voice, and I said, I'd like to do this with Mayor McCheese, to do the mayor thing. And they said, okay, sure, that works for us. The only other voice in my head was the voice of former New York City Mayor Ed Koch, but he would be much less recognizable, which could have been a good thing. But his manner of speaking, which I'm going to do with the Ed Koch voice, his thing was saying a lot, which would make each cartoon 45 minutes long. So, so Man McCheese / Ed Wynn was the winner.
I like that because in Rocky and Bullwinkle, did you go watching Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Oh, sure.
You did indeed, yes. Captain Peter Wrongway Peach Fuzz was my Paul Freeze doing an Ed Wynn impression. I don't know, Corey Burton as well can also do a good Ed Wynn impression. I think there should be a big Ed Wynn off between every single professional voice actor who could do an Ed Wynn.
Delightfully fun to do, and he's fortunately still popular. At least the impressions of Ed Wynn are still popular.
Yeah.
But sure, he was radio legend, TV legend, film legend.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk, I did him for King Candy and Wreck-It Ralph. That was an Ed Wood impression as well. Like, just He's like everywhere. Like
Yeah,
I
it's a great
never
voice.
I never heard of Edwin until obviously I watched Rocky and Bullwinkle and I researched. I saw Paul Frees did it. He did an impression of Edwin, and now I'm like, wow, look at this man's career. So yeah, I pretty much know all the old stars thanks to Rocky and Bullwinkle, mainly because
Mhm.
of their direct impressions of stars like back in the 50s, 60s, sort of along
Mhm.
those lines. Yeah, so there is that. By any small, teeny weeny, slight chance, have you ever met Dean Bristow, the Dreamcast voice of Dr. Eggman?
No, our paths didn't cross mostly because
I think he was
he
born in
was
New York. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
well, it wouldn't have been relevant until 2003 when I booked the role, and he sadly passed in 2005. So there wasn't a lot of time to get together, and there wouldn't have been much reason to, because I
Yeah.
believe he was not in New York by the time he passed.
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was in California, I believe. Yeah, and
Mhm.
people keep saying, "Oh yeah, they replaced him with Mike Pollock because he died." I'm like, no,
Mhm.
they replaced him because Dean died after Sonic X began,
Mhm.
and they pretty much replaced the entire like with Ryan Drummond and the various actors he played Tails back then before they hired Colleen and Kate Higgins to do it. Who was the girl who did his voice in Sonic X? Can't remember her name.
Who Tails? Amy Callan.
Amy Pallant, that's it. And yeah, they started hiring like females to do his voice instead of like going with these boys just going through puberty, then they're having to hire another one and all that. So yeah, and they just swapped them for the 4Kids cast. So it's nothing to do with Dean's death. It's just down to Sega wanting the 4. Was it Sega's choice or was it?
Presumably, I was only in the 4Kids end, so I didn't meet anyone from Sega directly. That's a lie. I'm restating what I'm going to say. The Sega folks would fly in for weekend recordings of games from 2004 until
My birthday.
2010. Then once I was recast, once the recasting happened, Sega started contacting directly. So I don't know what decisions were made, but presumably Sega had final say because it's their stuff.
What makes you feel old? I hate to say this, but you were Dr. Eggman in Sonic Rush. I'm not sure if you remember that game.
Mhm. Not
I
specifically, but
I
I
was
know the
playing
timeline.
at the age of 3 or 4 whenever it was released. It was around 2007, but I remember playing it when I was a very small child. I could play a DS when I was about 3 or 4 years old. That's just me playing Sonic Rush. So yeah, I have grown up with you as Dr. Eggman technically because I
Thank
remember
you.
getting a Sonic X DVD. Because funny story, I think I had a Sonic Underground phase obsession when I was about 8, and then I remember asking for a Sonic DVD, but I never specified which Sonic one, so they got me a Sonic X DVD. So I watched it. I was like, I like this, and then instead of like Sonic X, so it just was a complete. It was they bought the wrong DVD, but it was a happy little accident. So there is
The
that.
kids, my kids each grew up with a Leapster. I think there was only one Leapster in the house,
I
and
never
there
had
was
a
a
Leaf
Sonic
Store or
X.
any Leapfrog.
Not missing much. There was a Sonic X game for the Leapster. Not a great game, not a terribly great
What
performance.
was
The
that?
Sonic X game is all about Dr. Eggman's amazing math robot and teaching math to Chris Thorndike, and I didn't get past that much of the plot, but the kids had one, and so you'd hear me as Dr. Eggman coming out of the back seat a lot during those early years.
Oh, did you ever say anything about it, or did you just like keep
They
playing?
knew, they didn't care. They just look a game. We're playing a game. Okay, hi
That's so
kids.
nice though, how they separate the character from you as a father. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just didn't grow up saying, "Oh yeah, Dad, you're in my video game." It's kind of cool how they managed to separate the art from the artist. It's like two completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. That's just warmed my heart. Honestly, wow. I never had any Leapfrog products growing up. To be fair, I never had any VTech or anything like that. So,
There was a whole generation of toys that I had some passing relationship with.
oh, I know what they are, but I just never
Yeah,
owned them as a kid.
yeah.
Yeah. They
Now we
were.
have smartphones
Oh
and
yeah,
fancy.
trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. I never go anywhere without my smartphone. I have to
Mhm.
admit, I'm one of those people.
It's much more powerful than a Leapster ever could think of being.
Indeed, yeah. And you get all these games on your phone as well. You get Leapfrog games, like apps and stuff like that. So it's really, yeah, it's just a massive upgrade, really. Here's a good one. What's your ideal activity to do at the weekend? Do you have a hobby, or do you have anything? What do you
I
like to
have
do
a
aside from voice acting?
I have a tremendously geeky hobby of building custom RSS feeds and podcasts, mostly for my own enjoyment and information. Um, Particularly, we like my wife and I enjoy show tunes, being theater people. So we um, follow several West End show tune shows from the UK,
Wow.
and most of them have a catch-up feature where you can just tune in and listen anytime. A couple of them don't, so I'll record them locally, pretty them up a little bit, make sure I have a proper playlist and stuff. So when I play them back in the car, the titles scroll across the screen. I will edit out some songs my wife doesn't care for to make her listening experience that much more enjoyable. And then we have our own private podcasts because I have no legal right to do that. But for personal use, shh, no one needs to know.
No, don't say
So
it. They're not a word.
basically, if I had to do it as a job, I'd hate it. But because I'm doing it purely for our own enjoyment, this is so cool. And yet it's so time consuming. And anyone else can say, you're doing a job. It's hobby. It's fun.
Wow. Yeah, sorry, I was just blowing a little bit of dust off my microphone. It's hard to get it off though without like I can't just directly just blow onto it, otherwise you could just get a loud static noise. I can't really brush it off either because then it just comes up with like interference on the microphone. So usually I just have to take the sponge off when I'm not using it and just like proper fling it around just to get all the
Little
dust off.
compressed air, kind of compressed air available somewhere near you.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I need that because I need to like
Mhm.
clean my like the little like nooks and crannies of my keyboard and stuff like that. I'm gonna try and find that, but then I always find that these weird mechanical stuff, like big can of compressed air. I'm like, oh, I don't need one this big or something like that. Yeah. I'd like to ask you, do you remember an Eggman Twitter takeover?
Oh, several. Sure.
Oh, do you?
Mhm.
I never really heard about those. So what were they all about? Would you take over the official Sonic Twitter account and change it into Dr. Eggman, or would you tweet from there, or would a member of Sega tweet from there? I don't know.
Pulling back the curtain, it is, and still purely from the Sega social media PR team. They would arrange so that Dr. Eggman would appear to take over the Sonic the Hedgehog account. The first one, they flew me out to LA. We sat in a conference room. We fielded actual questions from actual people on Twitter, and
Oh,
they would write up responses, and Dr. Eggman would perform them. So they would basically give me little scripts, and I would go into a room, record my responses. They would put some crude audio waveform animation, and they would tweet them out throughout the day. It was just me the first year. Then it was Roger and me the second year, and then Roger, me, and Kirk as Shadow.
Kirk
And
Thornton, I
then,
believe.
yes, Kirk Thornton. And then uh, Kirk, I think we did three with the three of us. And then most recent one, Colleen came along as Tails as well.
Wow, that's really cool.
And it
Wow.
was an amazing near real-time thing because again we would have the opening and closings pre-scripted, but all the rest would be actual responses to actual questions, and the PR team would furiously type stuff up, multi-character scripts, and we would go and read them and have a grand old time.
Everybody, there's one instance where you can make not really make Eggman say stuff, but Sega put in the words in Eggman's mouth, any custom thing, really.
Yeah, if they wanted him to say it, whatever it was, fine with me. If you want
Yeah.
him to say it, that's where we wanted to prop.
I might want to go through a few experiences at Sega first, then come back when you're a little older. Yeah, but wow. I was gonna say, because I don't think Roger lives in California anymore. Yeah, someone told me that he's where was it?
Idaho.
Idaho, that's it. Yeah, he's in Idaho now. Yeah, it's everyone's moving from Los Angeles. I don't know why. Steve Bloom's in Hawaii. Everyone else is just I can't remember. I swear another one's in San Francisco. I can't remember which voice actor, but they're living in San Francisco, but obviously doing, recordings over Zoom and stuff like that.
One reason is because of the remote technology, especially with the
Pandemic.
couple of years of lockdown. That's been perfected. There are multiple different software platforms available. I've used, I think, all of them by now. And yeah, just can you do a thing tomorrow at noon? Sure. I'll just stroll upstairs. I'll give me 2 minutes to walk up the steps. And so, yes, that's been a wonderful thing. The last Twitter takeover we did completely remotely. We were all in our respective homes, and we were hooked up online across the internet, and it was a fantastic time.
That's so cool. Wow. Speaking of Kirk Thornton, I've got to ask, Orbot and Keybot, have you met Wally Wingert?
Yes, during a couple of the Sonic
Yes.
Boom ensemble records, we were all there, and I believe one of the live appearances in San Diego. I think they were all there. So yeah, those were also brief but tons of fun.
That's so cool. I mean, I've had Wally on my show. He's really
Mhm.
nice. Yeah, he is really good friends with Frank Welker because obviously they did the Garfield show together. So there's the one connection you have to Frank Welker. And Wally's doing an event called Voices Against Cancer in it's either North or South Dakota. I can't remember, but he told me a few guests he's got lined up. Obviously, I can't say until they're formally announced, but
Mhm.
really good guests. Honestly, like I am excited. I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to go. If I somehow by any miracle get a ton of money, I'll go.
Sure.
But it's this July. It's in
Mhm.
the Sioux Falls, Cioux Falls,
Mhm.
wherever that may
South
be,
Dakota, yeah.
South
South,
Dakota. That is. Sorry, I don't live in America, so I don't
sure.
really know much about the states and
I
the
don't think
places.
anyone lives there. No, I'm sorry. They're listening. Are they here? That's not true. It's a lovely place. So I've heard. I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of credit card customer service people are based there.
Is there
So
any waterfalls? Because Sioux Falls makes it sound like
I
there's
would
a big
imagine so. There must be,
waterfall.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm
like
going to say there
Niagara
is.
Falls.
All right.
Yeah, most likely. I'd like to ask you about both the 4 Kids dubs of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Viva Pinata. So what was it like to work on those, especially because Viva Pinata was originally an Xbox game, or it was originally a video game?
Viva Pinata was a fantastic opportunity to do a prelay show. So it wasn't a dub where we were, as most 4 Kids stuff was dubbed, we would be dubbing to existing animation. Both Viva Pinata and 4 Kids and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were prelay shows. So they were written first, recorded first, animated later. So that was a fantastic experience to have animation based off of my performance and not be constrained to, okay, you have 3 seconds to say this line, go. That it was, obviously there were time constraints, but within the time constraints, I could actually relax and act and do what I do. Viva Pinata, fantastic, directed by Eric Stewart. One of my earliest directors in the dubbing world, and never a bad time being directed by Eric. It was always tons of fun, laughing, joking, making very well produced pieces. So always a joy to work with Eric. And the show was very well written and very funny. So Viva Pinata, it's been buried by the sands of time and legal constraints, I'm sure. But if you can find it, a great show to find and to watch. Turtles, you mentioned Sue Blue. As it happened, she was the director. She was
Of
the
the
director.
4 Kids dub?
But
Wow!
he has directed, I think, most iterations of animated Turtles.
Oh yeah, because the newest one, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was voice directed by Rob Paulson.
But before that, she did a whole bunch of them. And this one, she was there by phone. And it was not even internet. It was just she would call up, be on the phone, direct us just by voice. And I was there for a couple of episodes, and she was just a joy to work with. And also an ensemble record with the entire cast, or at least most of the cast. If it was a scene with 1 or 2 characters, I'd be in the booth with 1 or 2 characters. But that was a fantastic experience, and I will also throw in that I would love to take credit for getting Michelson and Nicholas cast as Leo. Was he? It's been in a
I
long
think
time.
so, yeah.
Yeah, because I had already been doing stuff at 4 Kids. Then I started doing stuff with Michael's company and YAV Post, and we got to talking and said, "Yeah, I'm doing more stuff at 4 Kids." And he said, they're doing a dub of Ninja Turtles, and I'd love to get a chance to audition." Really? Fortunately, I was young and naive and said, "Come on!" And I walked him to the front door and said, "He's not supposed to be having an audition, but can we just squeeze him in?" And they said, "Sure." And he booked it. And okay. I don't think that could happen today, but I'm delighted to have facilitated that. and
I'm
got him
glad you
onto
did.
many wonderful things. So,
I'm glad you did. On the subject, have you ever watched any shows with your voice in? Have you ever played any games with your voice in? Like, have you played Viva Pinatas before? I don't know.
I'm not a gamer, so I would much rather watch someone else play, other than my kids playing Leapster in the background, in the back seat. When one of the Olympic Games, the Marion Sonic Olympic Games came out, there was a live demo of it at a kiosk in the local mall. And I wandered by and said, "Is that? I'm in that game. Play that game as me so I can see it." Which the guy was like, "Okay, whatever." And I've stumbled upon, I think the Olympic Games are also playing at Dave and Buster's arcade restaurants. So I went in and said, "Hey, look, I'm in the game." But as far as me playing the games, it's a waste of everyone's time for me playing games. I will watch stuff if it's easily accessible. Which with the rise of obscure cable streaming platforms, things are much less accessible. But the 4Kids stuff was all on broadcast television. So I was able to just put on our regular local channel 5. Oh, look, there's our show. But if it's behind paywalls and stuff, we don't subscribe to that. Do I subscribe to a channel just to see me on it? No. So, but I'll see clips on YouTube, legally or illegally.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm not against seeing it, but I was there when we did it. I don't always need to see the rest of the thing. I'll see a clip. Hey, good, they put that together. It looks great.
Yeah, sorry that I just heard a motorbike go past my house. I could just hear the going past. I'm like, what's that?
That's
So I
the
live near a
one
main
downside
road.
of remote recording during the lockdown is the room here is not quite soundproof. There's sound
Yeah.
treatment, but there is not.
Mine isn't
there's-
even soundproof. I'm gonna try and get it soundproof for when, because I got an audition this weekend, a remote one. It's can't really say what it is. I'll tell you after the interview's over when the camera's not rolling. So yeah, that actually reminds me of a really funny story. I remember you put on your website that you did the Eggman voice in public. I think you said that a kid won a Sonic plush on like a claw machine, and then you pointed it and went, "Look at Sonic in Eggman's voice." I was like, I was laugh so hard. What was that like for you?
It was early on, so it would have been 2004 or 5, and Sonic has always been popular as a midway prize at the fun fair. Not necessarily genuine product, sometimes creepy looking bootlegs, but this was a genuine giant life-size wear it on your shoulder Sonic that this kid won. And we were just enjoying a refreshing frozen beverage, and I happened to glance up and saw a kid with Sonic on his back, and then, yeah, okay, look at Sonic. Don't look at me. I'm just here having this drink. Don't mind me.
Oh, that's so amazing. About the video game thing, I was going to ask you, have you ever played Sonic Adventure? But as you said, you're not a gamer, so that would have been...
Yeah, no, the kids may have... They get Sonic games for whatever systems they have, how frequently they play them versus Minecraft or anything else. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to say, happy early birthday! Because today's the 8th of March. Mike's birthday is on the 9th of March. Yay!
Thank you very much.
How old will you be? Or should I, how young will you be?
57. Old.
57 years young. How lovely.
Old.
Oh, I don't say old because like 60, when was that? You were born in
65.
65, right? I see. Wow. Well, like I was gonna say, because I sorry, I stumbled on my words. I couldn't count for a second, so I was like, oh, what's that?
I have to remember too sometimes. 1965. Fortunately I can Google my age.
Yeah, oh yeah, Mike Pollock.
Google always knows.
To round off this wonderful sequel, I'd like to ask you, Mike, how would you describe Eggman in one word or one sentence?
One word: troubled.
Good
He's
one.
got issues.
Yeah. What about a sentence?
The world will never be his.
We can
Hate
only
to be
dream.
a downer, but yeah, hate to be a downer, but mind you, they're not to politicize the characters, but obviously invasion is a popular topic now. And
Yeah.
there are certain dictators is such an ugly word, but certain dictators who might particularly want to try world domination, but no, the world is not ready for that.
No.
The world can handle its own. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna do a fake outro now, and then obviously I'll probably say goodbye to you if that's okay.
Sure.
Sweet. Mike, I really hope you come to England at some point. I know you've been to England. I'm presuming you've been to London. Is that right? I thought
we went as far as Wales once.
so.
Yeah.
Wales. Wow, north or south?
South for the Doctor Who experience. My wife is of Welsh extraction, hence the Welsh children's names. And she's a big Doctor Who fan. So I said, okay, we're hopping on the train. We're riding the rails. And
Wow.
we spent an afternoon at the Doctor Who experience.
That's in Cardiff.
And-
I remember one of my theatre friends going to that many, many years ago. She told
Left
me
with
all about it.
armloads of merch.
Oh wow.
Not a cheap day.
I was gonna say, because if you said North Wales, I'm like, I'm literally just like a half an hour drive from North Wales. So
Well,
like
on a
yeah.
future visit, which would be a little more Wales centric. My wife, as a child, has been to Wales. I mean, I'm saying yes, we're Cardiff.
Yeah.
We touched the border of Wales just for the inside. But yeah, there's still a whole bunch of Wales that we've not seen, which I expect
Yeah.
in a future visit.
What about Liverpool, where the
Um,
Beatles come from?
Haven't had occasion to. I've been there mostly for conventions for work, and those were all London based. But the one time that the family was up, we were sightseeing in and around London, but we were not any further than just the one trip to Wales on the train, seeing sheep. Like, oh, okay, we're in the countryside whizzing by. Great. Which is lovely. The countryside was lovely, but sometimes I'd like to set foot in it, as we will in a future time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, like sort of Monopoly events could, because they're like one of the leading companies in the UK. They mainly like Frank Welker for his UK events, even though he's only done one, but he's planning on doing more. Yeah, hopefully they can get you to like Comic Con London, because I believe they're doing a London one, or Liverpool, or Manchester, or Wales, because they're doing one in Newport now, which is how far is that? I don't know how far is that, because was the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff?
It was literally within walking distance from the train, which was the train stop was in right in Cardiff, and
Newport to Cardiff is 22 minutes.
Yeah, Doctor Who was right in Cardiff, just steps from the train.
Yeah,
so, again,
but that Comic Con
we saw precious little of Wales at the time. Love to see more.
Yeah, you would love to see like up north and stuff like that. I'd say it's a lot more quieter than down south. I mean, down south it's like kind of more boisterous, but then up north it's just like, oh yeah, we're just chilling here, you know, with like the Beatles, Liverpool, Manchester up the road, and Birmingham, you're just down there and stuff like that.
I'll need time to reinstate all my travel documents. I've let them lapse in the lockdown.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a passport soon.
Not insurmountable.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting a passport soon, not just for identification, but also to obviously go abroad. I think the two places in America I want to go to are California and New York. Definitely.
I recommend them.
My brother's been to New York and he had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I wish I could say they were a convenient commute. They're not. It's another plane trip in between, but well worth it. Or if you've got the time, you can take a cross-country train journey.
Yeah, sounds really good. Yeah.
5 or 6 days for that to happen.
So is New York City in New York, or is like New York like the state?
New York is the state, but New York is also the city. So there is New York, which is New York
That's
City.
why they call it New York, New York. Oh, right.
But and the purists will point out that New York is 5 boroughs. There's Manhattan, the borough of Manhattan, which most people think of as New York. That's one of 5 boroughs. There's also Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and the Bronx, the surrounding outskirts, some of which are more tourist worthy than others. But so if you live in one of the outer boroughs and you tell people you're going to the city, do you mean New York City, Manhattan, or do you mean the city including the boroughs? No one means that. So when you're there, you'll sort that out.
Yeah, what borough of New York if you're in? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to reveal if you don't want to.
I'm across the river in New Jersey, actually.
Ah, you're in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Wow, that is so cool. Like, I think New Jersey, that is another place I've it sounds like, because there's a place near the Channel Islands called Jersey, so it is kind of confusing with like the different like the names and stuff like that. It can get quite confusing.
Like London, we have a fine mass transit system. So if you want to sightsee while you're here, there are an assortment of subways and commuter rails and even buses that you can hop on and see stuff for just a tiny investment.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I think we should wrap this up here. I don't want to keep you for too long, Mike. Where can we find you on social media?
It's a Mike is the brand, so it's a Mike on Twitter, it's a Mike on Facebook, Mike.Pollock on Instagram, because I barely use it, and my brand was not available. But yeah, check Twitter generally. There's also the website, it's a Mike.com. And who knows where I might turn up. I barely know what I'm doing tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow is my birthday, I knew that. But apart from that, yeah. So yeah, Twitter is a good place for the base of operations.
Sweet. I wonder who's got the It's a Mike name on Instagram. I'll
I don't
have to
want
have a look. Yeah, I won't tell you. I won't tell you, even though I don't know myself. But yeah, with that, I thank you guys at home for watching the well-worth sequel, the well-awaited, awaited sequel. That's what it is.
much awaited.
Yeah,
Partially awaited.
I got it.
Somebody awaited.
My brain just shut down for a second because I had no clue what I was
That's
saying. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay happy. Just most importantly, stay happy, because we're all in this together. We can do this. We can do this.
Sure. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. That's what I say. That's what I say, Mike. Indeed. You at home. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you around. Bye. Bye. And cut.